It's great to see that the fifth annual Europa Film Festival is about to begin from February the 19th to March the 19th in Australia and New Zealand. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the artistic director of Europa, Spiro Economopoulos. Spiro,
Hi,
always great to
Peter.
talk to you. Welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to be on the show again.
Now, this is again such a diverse festival with 43 films this year and spread across Europe, etc.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges and some of the, I suppose, game playing issues that you were facing in terms of programming this year's festival?
I mean, I think I don't know if it's a challenge or not, but I mean, obviously, European cinema is such a kind of wide, remit in terms of what the festival is. So you're kind of digging really deep into, what's out there. That, obviously, Europe produces a lot of films, and so you're sort of trying to find films that, maybe haven't been played a lot, or are kind of from, auteurs that are really familiar or have done really great sort of festival runs. So you're sort of looking, you're sort of doing a lot of searching, a lot of researching to sort of to see what, people are talking about, what festivals are kind of, awarding and talking about as well.
Yes. Oh, well, excellent on that. It's great to see these films, which in many cases will probably not be seen outside of the Europa Film Festival.
Well, that's it as well. There's a lot of really great movies that, will never, get a local distributor or a theatrical release here. So sometimes this is really your only opportunity to see quite a few of these films.
Exactly. And the festival's expanded apart from the classic Lido cinemas in
Yeah.
Melbourne, Ritz, it's also Brisbane, Hobart, and Auckland, which is great to see.
Yes. Yeah, it's very exciting. We've expanded out for this festival, which is I think a really great sign of the health of the festival and film festivals in general. Obviously, we want to kind of bring it out to a wide audience, and I'd be very excited just to kind of see how other audiences and states embrace the festival.
Yes. Oh, excellent news to hear all that. All right, let's
Thank you.
let's talk about some of the films. I've sort of cherry
Yeah,
picked films that I'm particularly interested in and seeing and all that. But
go for it.
but let's
Go
start with
for
the
it.
opening night film, which I've heard a fair bit about, The Testament of Anne Lee.
Yeah, which is a really amazing movie, actually. The director is Mona Fassvold, who was one of the writers behind The Brutalists and is a director in her own right as well. And it stars Amanda Seyfried, who plays the founder of I think it's this kind of the Quaker movement, actually. What did I say? The Quaker movement. I meant the Shaker movement. She was the founder of it, and the way that the film is presented is it's a musical essentially, and it uses very much the rhythm of them speaking tongues and the hymns as a way of kind of styling the music in it as well. So it's a really interesting film, a really bold experiment, and very striking. And Amanda Seyfried's fantastic in it.
Uh-huh. Looking forward to seeing it. Now, my eye was
Yeah.
drawn immediately to a new film by Agnieszka Holland, such a great filmmaker, and she has a new
Yes.
film called Friends.
Yes, and obviously Aneshka is the namesake of our festival as well for her film Europa. So it's
Yeah.
great to it's great to have her latest film in here. And yeah, France is again a really interesting experiment in terms of a film because it's about the Franz Kafka, but it also has this kind of meta quality to it, and it's very much about Franz Kafka's legacy as well, outside of, the autobiographical elements. So it has a really interesting kind of play in terms of telling the story of his life essentially in his work, but also the impact, the cultural impact that he's had sort of going forward. So it's a really interesting film, I think.
Yes, yeah, oh, looking forward to seeing it. Now,
Yeah.
Laszlo Nemes is a great Hungarian filmmaker. Son of Saul was an amazing film,
Oh,
and
incredible film. Yeah.
yeah, amazing film. And now he's got a new film called Orphan.
Yes, yeah, which is set in Budapest in the 50s, and it's just kind of sort of post Second World War, obviously. and it's about a young boy who's been sort of told a story about who his father is, and like as in his mind, he's kind of created this kind of mythical kind of idea of who this person is, and then his mother turns up with a suitor who's claiming to be his father, and it's very much not the person he expected. It's a very kind of complex film about legacy, and I guess the legacy of, I think the politics of the war as well, that's kind of played out in these sort of dynamics between these three people. So it's a really interesting film.
Ah, again, another one to look forward to. There's so many films to look forward to. Um,
Yeah.
Quentin Dupuis, I think it's pronounced, probably not,
Yes, I think
is
that's all right.
certainly a French filmmaker who makes some rather idiosyncratic films. And you've got his latest, The Piano Accident.
Yes, yeah, and you definitely got that right when you said he makes idiosyncratic films that they sort of border on the surreal. And this one stars Adele Exarchopoulos, who people would know from things like Blues, the Warmest Color, for example. And she plays she's like a kind of sort of a TikTok sort of viral kind of celebrity who sort of puts herself in these, I guess dangerous kind of stunt situations. She does these kind of really kind of painful stunts and stuff. And yeah, that's kind of just the beginning of the premise of the story. But I don't want to spoil too much about it. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It's very weird, but very much in keeping with his films as well.
Okay. Again, sounds great. Now, my eye is always drawn to German cinema, and I noticed Carolina Herfurth has a new film in the festival, Wunderschöne. Beautiful. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, Wundershine is yeah, and it's essentially we it's kind of a sequel really to her previous film, essentially. Not It's not connected. I think it's all sort of separate stories, interconnecting stories about these different women, their relationships. Yeah, and we screened the first one, I think several festivals back now, and yeah, and this is I think kind of continues in that vein. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, yeah. Again, sounds good. Now, Diane Couris is another French filmmaker that I admire, and she's got a very interesting feature called The One I Loved in the festival.
Yeah, which is a really interesting biographical film, essentially, about Yves Montand and his relationship with Simone Signoret, which so these
Mm.
two sort of titans of French cinema. And yeah, it's kind of a very kind of complex look at their tumultuous relationship. There was a lot of infidelities, and I think it's a really amazing sort of film about these two artists. I think a really kind of compelling look at their relationship and this kind of marriage sort of straining under these kind of infidelities. And particularly, he was famously known for having an affair with Marilyn Monroe. So you can imagine the anxiety that caused when, one of the most iconic, women in the world was someone he was having an affair with. So it's a really interesting film.
Uh-huh. Sounds great. Now, always like to see an animation, and I notice you've got a couple. One I want to mention first is A Magnificent Life, which sounds great.
Yeah, this is such a beautiful film. I have to say, I really fell in love with this. It's by Sylvia Chomet, who is the filmmaker behind The Triplets of Belleville. If
Mm.
people don't remember that movie, which was a really wonderful film, and this is about Marcel Pagnol, who's uh, a very famous kind of film figure in France, and it's kind of a tribute, a very important sort of person, I guess, in French culture, and it's sort of a kind of a tribute to his life, his childhood, his legacy. It's really lovely, actually. It's a beautiful film.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the other animation I wanted to mention, it's just got an Oscar nomination, is
Yes.
Arco.
Yeah, which is very exciting to have that in the program. This is a really kind of beautiful fantasy film, a French movie, and it's yeah, I think it's just kind of really lovely. It looks gorgeous as well, and Yeah, it was very exciting to have this movie, which yeah, I think is really lovely, and it's very much kind of styled in a lot of ways. I think anyway, in the vein of Japanese animation in some ways, which is really interesting. But yeah, I think it's a really lovely movie.
Okay, look forward to it. Now, I notice you've got a guest of the festival, a filmmaker who I met in Germany. Oh my goodness, must have been about 15 years ago or something like that. Zenke Wortmann.
Oh,
Uh,
right. Okay.
yeah, I remember Zenke from talking to him about some of his earlier films. And he's got a new film out, which I'm looking forward to seeing, The Empty Nesters.
Yeah, and you're right. We're really excited to have him out here as a guest for the festival. He's going to be introducing some of the sessions, which is really exciting. And this is
Mm.
yeah his latest film, which is a comedy, which yeah I think people are going to really like, and it'll be really interesting. We don't always have a lot of guests come out, so it's going to be really interesting to see him talk about the film.
Okay, that should be great. All right. Hopefully I'll be able to catch up with him. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, another German film, a music-based film, which sounds really interesting, Köln or Cologne 75.
Oh, yeah. This is such a great movie. I really, really adored this film. It's based on a true story, actually, about a young girl. She was 19, I think, at the time, I think from memory, who became a concert promoter. In particular, her kind of efforts to bring jazz pianist Keith Jarrett out to do a solo performance at the Opera House in Cologne. And that actual recording ended up becoming one of the most successful live music sort of recordings ever as well. So I think it's a really, yeah, it's a fascinating kind of look at this particular era. It's really fun. The lead actress is really wonderful in it, I think, as well. And yeah, I think it's kind of a really interesting film.
Yeah, it does sound interesting. Now, notice you've got looks like a blockbuster film called Magellan.
Yes, this is by Philippine filmmaker Lav Diaz, which is, he's very much kind of known for his sort of slow cinema and making, very, very long films. And so, ironically, this is probably one of his shortest movies, uh, like 2.5 hours or something.
Is that all?
But yes, but it's about Gael Garcia Bernal plays a Portuguese explorer, and then the film's very much about colonization, and it's kind of a really interesting perspective on that. Really beautiful looking film as well. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, sounds good. Now, I noticed a Bulgarian film which struck me, a film called Made in EU.
Yes. Yeah, this is a really, I think a fantastic film. We screened this filmmaker's previous movie, Blag's Lesson, which I thought was really sensational as well. And this is their latest film about a factory worker who is basically falsely accused of sort of bringing COVID into the factory and sort of killing the workflow. And it's sort of a really interesting film about that kind of particular point in time and the way these people kind of were sort of exploited and scapegoated as well. It's a fascinating movie and it's quite compelling, I think. And the lead
Uh-huh.
actress is brilliant in it.
Great. Such diverse plots and ideas, which is always great to see in
Yeah,
a festival with 43 films, which is magnificent. Another
exactly.
film that drew my attention is an Italian film called Primavera.
Yeah, Primavera is a really fantastic film about a young violinist it's sort of set in Venice in the 18th century, and she's from an orphanage, and basically this orphanage is setting up these kind of these kind of concerts, and basically these young girls are kind of trained to become musicians. And this film sort of, is following this young particular girl and her tutorage under Vivaldi, who kind of sees her talent. And it's very much kind of about I guess the the misogyny that's involved in sort of keeping this young girl down. So it's got a really interesting sort of feminist message. It's actually the directorial debut of a really accomplished stage director. So who has been very much celebrated for kind of bringing really big operas around the world. So obviously they're coming from a kind of a familiar knowing place about the story, I'd say.
Okay, very good. Now, I notice a Dutch film, which looks very interesting, Reedland.
This film is so fantastic. Really incredible looking as well. It's about an aging reed cutter who happens upon a young girl's body, and he kind of becomes obsessed with finding out who killed this young girl. It's set in this very kind of tight community, and so obviously something like a tragedy like this kind of really shakes it up, and it particularly shakes him up because he's got a young granddaughter who's kind of a similar age. The lead actor in this is actually a reed cutter. He's never acted before, and he's really fantastic in the film. And yeah, I just think this film is compelling. It's really brilliant.
Okay. Wow, so many highlights. It's going to be hard for audiences to choose. Well, see everything if you
Yeah.
can.
Yes. Yes. It all.
Now, a documentary which really interests me is a Danish-Ukrainian film by the looks of it called Victor.
Yeah, a really striking looking film as well. It's shot in beautiful sort of luminous black and white, and it's basically about this young deaf. He's a deaf war photographer actually, and sort of he's a quite celebrated one, and it's very much a kind of look at he lost his hearing, I think, in after suffering an injury, sort of documenting, I think, a civil war in Libya from memory. And yeah, it's a sort of very striking kind of essay sort of film about his experiences, I guess, documenting, these tragedies and, like devastations around the world. It's really powerful.
Ah, okay. Now, interesting always to see a film featuring Carmen Mora, and I know she's got a film. She's in a film called Kale Malaga.
Yeah, this is an absolutely wonderful film. It's by the same filmmaker that did a film called The Blue Caftan. I don't know if you
Ah,
remember seeing that. Really, that was a wonderful movie as well.
yep.
Mariam Fuzari, I think her name is. Yeah, and Kalamalaga is, Carmen Moore obviously is a celebrated actor from Spain who's in a lot of the Moldova films. And this is about a woman living in the Tangiers. There's a very big sort of Spanish population in Tangiers, and it's a kind of interesting look at this woman who's basically being forced to kind of, move into a retirement home and leave her beautiful home, sort of forced by her daughter. And it's just a really beautiful film and a really fascinating look at this kind of pocket of culture of these kind of uh, migrants that are kind of living there. It's really wonderful. It's really great kind of community that's kind of that the film kind of paints there. It's fascinating.
Okay, very good. Now, always good to see a Polish film, and this one, Chopin, a Sonata in Paris, looks really interesting.
Yes, yeah, it's very much about, the obviously celebrated Chopin, and they're kind of it's a very kind of almost rock and roll version of them sort of being this kind of young, brilliant artists creating their works and basically kind of burning themselves to the ground, like kind of burning out as well. So it's a really kind of interesting, very vibrant kind of film about their life, sort of a very irreverent biography, let's just say.
I like that. Now,
Yeah.
I always like to see political films as well, and this one, set around the time of the Spanish Civil War, The Dinner, sounds really
Oh,
interesting.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's a lot of fun, this film, actually, I have to say, even though like the subject matter is very serious. It's about a restaurant that's kind of been basically has been forced to kind of host Franco for a dinner, and because all the chefs have been kind of jailed, like they have to kind of bring these people out of prison who kind of use this opportunity to kind of host this dinner as a means of potentially escaping. So it's kind of a really fun film, fantastic cast, really interesting kind of, look at that particular era. Yeah, I think it was a really good movie.
Okay, very good. Now, notice Estonia's submission for the Best International Feature Film, a film called Rolling Papers.
Yeah, this is a really lovely movie, very much a kind of, hangout kind of film in the vein of like a Richard Linklater about these, group of 20 somethings living in Tallinn. Yeah, it's, very really lovely portrait of a young sort of Estonian kind of youth, I suppose. And yeah, it's got a really lovely sensibility about it. I liked it a lot, actually. It's really cool.
Okay, very good. Now, I notice you've got two curated seasons as part of Europa, four
Yes.
films from Antonioni and
Yeah.
four films from Eric Romer, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited. I always love the retrospectives, and obviously with Eric Romer, we're doing his four season films. We celebrated four season movies that he did: springtime, winter, summer, and autumn. That he made in I think it was like in the 90s. Really, really wonderful kind of movies. And Michelangelo Antonioni, I think is probably one of my favorite directors, and he's a, master Italian filmmaker. And this particular focus season very much centers on the collaborative relationship he had with his partner as well, and an actress, Monica Vitti. So the four films that we have, L'Avventura, La Notte, Eclisse, Red Desert, which are all these absolute stone cold classics as well, sort of document this very, very fruitful era of filmmaking and kind of, this incredible collaboration.
Okay, all terrific. Now, I've
Yeah.
mentioned I've mentioned many films, but
It's
Spiro, do you have a few that you want to mention that I haven't highlighted?
Yeah, I just very quickly want to talk about the Southern Chronicles, which is a really fantastic coming of age film set in post-Soviet Lithuania, which is really, really fun. One of the biggest box office hits of all time in Lithuania as well, which is really interesting. And it's based on a novel. It's a best-selling novel as well. It's a really wonderful film. And the other one is The Birthday Party, which stars William Dafoe. And he sort of is playing like a proxy Onassis in this film, and it's sort of very much about this billionaire tycoon who is hosting a party on a Greek island for his daughter, and the film very much becomes a kind of about legacy and the kind of machinations behind kind of trying to, grapple power, and like it's sort of a really interesting film and looks fantastic as well. And yeah, it's sort of very much about this kind of, ruthless sort of hold on to power that this particular person has, particularly over his daughter, who just can't sort of escape out of, the family's legacy. It's a really interesting film. And the other one that I really loved is a movie called Maspalomas, which is a Spanish film about an happily out gay man in his sort of later part of his life who has a stroke, and the stroke unfortunately kind of forces him to go into a retirement home and also back into the closet again. And it's very much about this person's journey to sort of essentially come back out again. Unfortunately, this can be quite a common story with elderly LGBTIQ people as well. So I think the film is just this really beautiful sort of examination and sort of lighthearted look at this kind of story. And I think it's wonderful actually.
Okay. And I must add one more film I wanted to mention, a UK film called The Sun and the Sea.
Yeah, this is a really, really lovely movie as well, actually, about these two friends who basically kind of want to get out of their sort of hard partying life in London, and they're sort of burnt out, and they take a trip to Scotland to visit one of the protagonists' great aunts, I think, from memory. And while they're there, they kind of fall in with these two twin brothers. So one of them is deaf as well. And yeah, it's just kind of this really lovely movie about this kind of sort of unlikely friendships that kind of form around that. It's very good.
Okay, such an expansive festival with so many intriguing films. Let's talk about the Europa website, how people can book tickets, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so basically, you can get tickets online at europa.com.au. That's probably your best kind of portable tickets portal. Tickets went on sale, I think, from memory yesterday. So get on it, I think. I'm very excited to have people discover the program this year.
Yes, yes. Excellent stuff. Europafilmfestival.com.au for the program and europa.com.au is it for tickets or
That's yeah, it's Europa. I think it's europa.com.au from memory. Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Europa Film Festival. Europafilmfestival.com.au, in fact. Yeah.
Okay. europafilmfestival.com.au. Excellent stuff. February
Yeah.
19th to March 19th at
Yeah.
cinemas in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, etc., and Auckland. So,
Yes. Which is
oh,
exciting. We're heading to New Zealand. So yeah.
yeah, excellent
It's
stuff. All right. Spiro, great talking to you, but I will ask you one final question. Um,
uh-huh.
any reflections on the Oscar nominations?
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, Sinners, for example,
Hmm.
being Oscar nominated film ever is pretty exciting, I have to say. And that was one of my favorite films from last year, so I was pretty thrilled to see that. And I was also very excited to see Annie Madigan get nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Weapons. So I was like, go Gladys, Gladys for the win. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. I was also very pleased to see Sentimental Value achieve a number of
Yes,
nominations.
me too. I think again that was again what definitely in my top 5 films of the year last year. I think it's an incredible movie. So I'm glad to see that that film got the awards love that it deserves, I think.
Yes, yes, excellent. And have you seen
Yeah.
anything of late, apart from all of that that impressed you?
Yeah, I saw Bradley Cooper's new film actually. Is This Thing On? Which is actually really lovely. It's about a man, Will Arnett plays a man who's going through a sort of a breakup, and he sort of stumbles on a open mic night for a comedy night, and he sort of falls into comedy as a way of, I guess, kind of healing. It's a really lovely film. Laura Dern's in it as well, who's fantastic, and yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's also a pretty good film. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Look, Spiro, great talking to you. We've been speaking to Spiro
Good.
Economopoulos, the artistic director of the Europa Film Festival. On February 19th to March 19th, go to europafilmfestival.com.au. 43 films to see, all worth seeing. And Spiro, as always, thank you so much for talking with me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Peter.
All the best.
Bye bye.
Bye
See
bye.
you later, Peter. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.